Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live streaming on YouTube yet again for our Soul Work Sunday. For those of you who might be new to the broadcasts, on Sundays we do a series of quotes, and then we talk about what those quotes bring up in our minds and try and get ourselves prepared for the coming week. So before we get on to that, I'd like to just let you know, if you're new to the program, we will be doing sort of news, views, and updates to start with, just to give everybody time to get here. And then what we do is we get onto the main topic, which will be soul work. And if you're watching it on the replay, it's slightly different. You're going to see underneath in the see more notes, it's going to say from 00 to this time, and news, views, and updates. And then from this time onwards, the topic of the day. So that is what it is. Just to give you some background, we did two really interesting broadcasts on Friday, one at lunchtime and one in the evening. And we were talking about cognitive stuff, you know, the way our minds work and how to help ourselves. Hi, Jody. How to help ourselves out of stress and anxiety by understanding what happens. So, and the reason I decided to do that, number one, it was Mental Health Week, but secondly, because some of those terms that they use are pretty weird. And so I thought I would try and explain some of them to the viewers, because I'm a great believer, the more you know and the more you understand, the easier it is to understand what's going on with you. So that is that side of it. Hi there, Marie, good to see you. And now, just as we start on this, I'm just going to sort something out here quickly. We have thoughts and prayers this week going out to Lionel and Jody. They lost Lionel's Aunt Beatrice this week, so big hugs to you. But also to Jody and Lionel, because for those of you who don't know, Lionel is very much Jodie's support system, and because she's immobilized for a fair amount of time. And he woke up with major back spasms today. So our thoughts and prayers, please, out to Jodie and Lionel as they try to cope with Jodie trying to be able to cope without Lionel being able to do all that he normally does, and for Lionel to get, at peace to realize that he can't do it all and he may need to ask for help. And that is what I recommended that they do, is, get somebody from the church to come and help them quickly, because, those sort of back spasms normally, are treated, and once they're treated, that you can cope again. But it's just like, wow. And I think, Jody, the thing I was really grateful for was to read the words that he had some of those pills left over. I don't know about anybody else, but whenever I have pills for back pain or serious pain like that, I always try and keep a couple for that very reason, in case I get caught out. And the interesting thing is, and I wanted to mention that in Canada, we can get much higher grade back pain tablets over the counter than you can in the States. I'm not quite sure why that is. It's hard to ask for help. Yes, Jody, isn't that the truth? But at times it must be done. And and it doesn't make you a bad person. It just means at this particular time, we need some help. Is there anybody available? And, you have to remember as well that there are an awful lot of people in the world that get their jollies out of helping other people. All right. So think about it, that you're going to be doing somebody a favor. Somebody is going to know that they made a difference in the world after they've helped you too. And by the way, I've got a week where I'm going to have to ask for help as well on stuff. And I assure you, I don't find it any easier than you do. I said on Friday that I would like to give thanks for the people, the two astronauts who went up on the space shuttle, the Russian one, because they had a booster rocket fail. And if they'd been in the American spaceship, they would have died because of the way it's built. The Russian one is built on the old school system, which means that they can actually, I think it automatically, if there's a booster failure, it automatically ejects the capsule out and sends it hurtling back towards Earth, which must be horrifying, quite honestly. But then, it deploys a parachute at the right altitude and they come flitter, flutter, flitter, flutter, boom. I'm sure the hard landing is, rocks your bones, but they are both alive to tell the tale. And I think for that, I would like to be truly thankful. I don't have words for my feelings about the survivors of Hurricane Michael. I keep looking at the news and seeing what people are going back to, where once there was a house, now there is nothing but a slab. Nothing left. Not a piece of wood. And their memories are probably strewn across goodness knows how many miles. And so you have to be, if you can, this week, be grateful for the fact you are not one of those people. Now, Marie was telling me, I believe, right, Marie, that your parents are like a town away from there and that they didn't have any damage, which is absolutely wonderful. I saw a picture last night of one house that obviously had been built to very high code standards. Somebody had built a house to withstand really a Hurricane 5. I think he had a couple of windows that gave, but his whole house, the whole structure was standing solid. And so, they boarded up the windows, yes. But that came on so fast, Maria. It went from a category 3, when they went to bed at night, I think, or just coming up to a category 4. And by the time that thing hit, it was nearly a 5. So I'm certain a lot of people didn't think it was going to be nearly as difficult as it was. I did hear from Erin that Leah had her operation on her shoulder, her rotator cuff, I believe, and that she needed to stay in overnight for some reason, which I'm not going to discuss because I don't have, I haven't talked to Leah directly. But she is home and everything is fine. So that is great. And in terms of anniversaries and birthdays, I'm going to get to those in a second. But first, if you are new to the program, please notice that there is a bell down here. And if you click on it, it will let you know when we're about to go live on broadcast. We mostly do broadcasts on Friday and Sunday. Here I live in Canada, Western Canada. So, and I do try and give a half-hour warning to people as best I can. And that is normally done on Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to get half an hour heads up, time to get your beverage and your little snacks ready because we're going to sit down and do some work on ourselves, then make sure that you have followed us on both Facebook and Twitter, and it's just DearMamaSal. It's exactly the same. So birthdays, first of all, the joy of all joys. We welcome this week into our world little baby Lily Rose. Her birthday was on October the 10th, and I thought that was really, and she's doing well. She went for a weight check, I believe, yesterday. Jody, help me if I get this wrong, but I think everything was fine. So we're very, very exciting. That's Beth's granddaughter, second, and well, she has a grandson, but it's her granddaughter. So that is wonderful. Right. So Maria's saying that her parents have only been in Florida for 4 years. So they take this hurricane stuff pretty seriously. Well, I want to tell you something. I would like you to do them a great favor and keep thanking them for doing that, for having the intelligence to board up against that stuff. And they actually relocated as well, if I remember correctly, Marie. So, make sure you reward good behavior. Do you know what I mean? Because I find with people that if you keep saying, on behalf of the family, thank you for being adults enough to get the heck out of Dodge. hi, Nyasha, to get out of the way of that storm as best you could, because it saved us so much stress. Houses, although very expensive, can be replaced, but people, not so easily. So I just wanted to make sure that you give them lots of strokes for what they did. Yes, so Jody is just giving me an update. Apparently she goes for the weight check on Tuesday. That's correct. You're quite right. Yes, and Maria is saying for Hurricane Florence, you evacuated as well. We all grew up in the Midwest, so we're new to hurricanes. Yeah. So, really important that you look after yourselves, because why would you give everybody else that stress? For those of you who know Liz, she seems to be doing great. We wish her just some time to regroup and relax and get herself in the right place. She got a really big scare in a couple of weeks ago, and she's now just settling down, which is awesome. And talking about that, for those of you who saw that Lauren met her birth father and birth paternal grandparents for the first time last week, and she's obviously, her emotions are just all over the place at the moment, and she's sort of saying, is this normal? And of course it's normal. And what I said to her was, if you think about it, I always talk about the librarian in my head. I call mine Jones. If you imagine the new information that she received during that time with her father, her biological father, and her paternal grandparents, all the information that had to go into her brain somewhere. Some of it was really important stuff, maybe, and some of it, not so much. And so I always think about the librarian in my head is running around like an idiot, trying to find out, where do I file this? Where do I file this? And then checking back with you, is this really important or not? And so, yes, your emotions are going to be, I don't know if that paints a picture for you that you can get, but whenever our minds are racing like that, it's a really good idea to understand why. It's like there's so much information, and it was also emotionally charged because it's the first time she met her father. And I want to tell you that I've done that. I actually, my father left when I was 4, so I had met him, but I had no memory of him. But, when I first met him, I want to tell you, my emotions were all over the place. I didn't know whether to hit him, quite honestly, or to give him a hug. Like, what do you do? It's just like, really? Yeah, and it's amazing. So we're going to, just give Lauren time to settle back down again. But, her whole life, as she knew it, has changed, obviously, because of this. Marie, I wanted to ask you, are you planning to go to the gym? I know that you said that a couple of weeks ago. I've got it on my follow-up list. So if the truth is you're not planning to do it anymore, let me know and I'll get it off my list. Well, about the visual of Jones running around, it's the only way that made sense to me. When I can see that and I can forgive myself, I can actually say, no wonder I'm feeling a bit stressed. Jones is running around like an idiot. You're going to try and go 5 days this week. Okay, I'm leaving it on the list then, Marie. Well done. I'm very proud of you because you have lots of reasons not to. Yeah, so well done. I'm very, very proud of you. Okay, so Jody, I'm going to give a time of 14 minutes and 14 and a half minutes, in fact. Let me just get my thing here. I'm going to, what we do on Soul Work Sunday is I give a quote and then we talk about what that quote brings up for us. And today's quotes, I brought up a series of quotes to do with peace. I thought peace is something that I think most of us would wish for, either in our world or in our lives. And I thought it might be a really nice subject to do at the beginning of our week. And the first quote I have is from Ronald Reagan. And what I'm going to do is give it to you and then ask you to think about it and tell me, do you agree with what he said? Does it bring up anything for you? You know, what is your reality around the quote? And the first one is, a people free to choose will always choose peace. A people free to choose will always choose peace. I don't know about you. I gave a lot of thought to that. And what it's basically saying is the only time we choose conflict is when we are ourselves conflicted. Does that make sense? When we're being pressured in some way. And I wasn't sure if I totally agreed with it, because I could think of a few instances where that wasn't true. But I loved the quote because I do believe in a perfect world, we would want that. I'm pretty sure that none of my viewers wake up in the morning going, I really would like conflict today. But I could be wrong. Maybe you do. So this week, as you get up, think about peace. You know, how do I keep today peaceful? And one of the ways that we do it is to let go of the what if monster. You know, and I always talk about that, which is, you know, if we spend our days going, yeah, but if this happens, you know, I'm in big trouble. You go, well, you know, just let go of the what if monster. Your job is to live today. Jody, you know, try and work out, you know, how do you get enough food in for today? Okay, Marie, no problem. All right, but you know where to come to watch the replay. So do you understand that? It's like, how do I stay at peace today? I was really proud of myself. I had one area of my house, one where I had a whole basket full of old bottles, not bottles, but spray bottles and things that I'd collected over the years. And I had them all in one basket, you know, that sort of thing, like, oh, I need slug killer. Oh, well, it's in here, you know, and it was like a whole basket of them. And I literally got rid of them this week. And I was really proud of myself. I said, okay, fine. I'm just going to stick them all in a garbage bag and they're going in the garbage. And, you know, that's it. They're gone. I don't care if I need them. I want to get rid of some stuff. Now, this is another quote from Ronald Reagan. And I just happened to find his quotes. So don't think I went looking for them. I didn't. He said that peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Think about that. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means. Remember what I said, that if you push against somebody, they're going to push back, and then you'll push back harder, and then they'll push back harder. Whereas if this is conflict and you come in from a place of peace, this isn't a perfect world, you understand. I am not perfect at this, just so you know. But if you can come in with a peaceful attitude and go, you know, I can see you're upset, but I choose not to fight you. I don't want to fight you. Oh, that's so cute. Jody's saying, she just called herself and said, make a plan, wise words, and figure out how we're going to navigate this day together. And she said she calmed herself down with it. Yeah, right? Don't worry about next week. Don't worry about 2 days from now, because for all we know, the pills will kick in and Lionel will be back to his normal, wonderful self. But the other thing is this, Jody, what if this is a heads up for you? And what you realize is, because you don't have family, it's probably time for you guys to start looking at what's plan B here. If, you know, what if Lionel gets sick with the flu over the winter, which he could well do, you know, whatever, and have people ready, you know, make sure that you get people from the church that know what the situation is, and know, and that's what I first thing is, call the church. You know, that's what they do. They look after people when they need it, right? It's not just about going there on Sundays. Seemed like you can't do that. You're always on the edge. Yes. And you understand. I'm afraid that if you live on the edge, then you react on the edge. I don't know if you saw that in the broadcast that we did on Friday evening, but I did a graphic. Did you see that, Nyasha? Where if your thoughts are negative, then your emotions are negative, then you have negative physical reaction, and your behavior will be negative. So you understand, if you're always living on the edge, then you will always be very hyper in what you do completely, the whole cycle. Whereas if you go, you know something, I don't have to worry about all of this today. I just need to work, I just need to work on this little bit here. And the rest, I will take the next step tomorrow. Does that make sense, Nyasha? But if you're constantly at this vibration, that is what will happen. Jody's saying, apropos of my plan B for her, yes, she says, I agree. And she told Lionel that it brought up a fear in her. Jody, of course it did. I want to tell you, it brought up a fear in me, so I'm sure it brought up a fear in you. So that would be quite normal, right? That there's nothing, that you weren't being weird. You depend on Lionel and you care about Lionel. So there are two parts to it. One is fear for yourself. How am I going to be able to cope without him if he's can't help me? The other one is for him. So you've got a double whammy there. But I just really thank you for letting me know. So the next one, this is a cute one, and I haven't got a quote as to who said this, but I love it. And it says, today I choose to live with gratitude for the love that fills my heart, the peace that rests within my spirit, and the sense of hope that all things are possible. Today I choose to live with gratitude for the love that fills my heart, the peace that rests within my spirit, and the sense of hope that all things are possible. Boy, I need that one today. So, does anybody else have a reaction to that one? Boy, that's a good one for me. Yes, and you have to sort of check in. Is my heart filled with love? Well, yeah, if I'm not worrying about anything else. Would you agree? If I'm not stressing about anything, my heart is filled with love. Because, Jerry Jampolsky says, love is letting go of fear. We only have two base emotions, love and fear. So if we don't feel at peace, we are in fear at some level. If we are totally at peace, we're totally loving in ourselves and very, Zen-like or whatever you call it. But, it's like, yeah, that's gorgeous. And then when we are, our hearts are filled with love, then we are at peace because everything looks good to us. And therefore we have hope. Hi, Linda. How are you doing? Yes. Oh, nice quote, Linda. Is that your personal one? Linda's saying her heart is full of whatever I let in. All right. So then Linda has been around us long enough to know she is totally accountable for her own moods. Listen to what she says. My heart is full of whatever I let in. If she chooses not to let negativity in, she won't have any. Yay. Well done, Linda. You really got this stuff, haven't you? I'm so proud of you. So, hi, Bernice. Good to see you. But it's great to know that you're doing that. So let's have a week of, we're talking about peace this week. Can you imagine, I just want to bring up a little bit of news because, I was trying to think, how do you cope with this when everything else is going in the wrong direction? Oh, that's so kind of you, Linda. Linda's saying, nah, Sal, I got what you have taught me. Well, I want to tell you, there are days when I need it for myself, Linda. But, you know, I kept thinking about that Saudi guy who went into the Saudi embassy to get his marriage certificate papers because he wanted to get married and was killed. And I was imagining how kind of him to leave his fiancée outside with the possibility that something could go wrong, that he wouldn't let her come with him because she too would be dead today. Although that hasn't been confirmed, it does appear to be what happened. And you go, can you imagine, you know, it was his birthday, she planned a birthday party yesterday for all his friends, and he never came out. And I'm going, I wonder how she lives with it. But I'm hoping at some level she will feel at peace knowing that he died doing trying to get the papers so they could get married. I mean, he put his life on the line so that they could get married. That's pretty loving, don't you think? Yeah, it actually didn't happen in Saudi Arabia, Linda. It happened in Turkey. And he's a very well-known journalist, because I can't pronounce his name, begins with a K. And you know, he was an American journalist who did a lot of work with the Washington Post, I believe. And you know, he had become not very popular in Saudi Arabia, although that's where he was from originally, because he criticized the prince. Yes, exactly, Bernice. He did his best for his love, right? And I'm sure she's saying, you know, that was a price she didn't necessarily want to pay. But it happened. It's just so terrible. It's not even funny. And I don't want to spoil my piece today, but all right, here we go. This is a nice quote. Take a deep breath, everybody. Take a deep breath. This one needs a bit of control. You are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choice. True? I can always remember I had an assistant once, and I remember hearing her on the phone with her teenage son, who was obviously asking permission to go and visit his friend. And she said, no, I don't want you doing that during the school week. And he said, well, you're not here, so you know, I'll go and do it anyway. And she said, oh, you can do whatever you like. That's your choice. I just like you to make sure that you know what the consequences will be if you do it. And by the way, you may think I won't find out, but you know, mothers do. Yes, so we are free to choose, all right? You can choose not to eat properly, but you will pay the consequences for not doing so. You may choose to be nice to people and be very grateful, but it doesn't guarantee you'll get good consequences, right? And as I've said time and time again, we're only responsible for our behavior. You know, we're not responsible for somebody else's behavior. So if somebody's treating you badly, you can choose whether to treat them badly back, or you can choose to treat them nicely, but not with the expectation that they will change and treat you nicely, because that's not realistic. All right. So what I like to do is go, okay, fine. I'm not very happy with this person, but I'm not going to let them stop me from being who I am, because really, you know, my inner self really is better than this. Okay, so what's Nyasha saying here? I just realized, based on what you're saying, yes, I always question why I can't do the things others can. Why was I born this way? I'm also saddened that I'm not able to further my education. Well, here is the thing, Nyasha. You have more chance of furthering your education in this world than anybody has ever had before. Do you know you've got free online learning now. There are free academies of learning on the internet. You can take any subject you want and you can study it. Wow, Linda, you're very kind to me, right? Linda's saying, Sal, you taught me how to accept me as myself. That takes some work, but it's definitely worth it. Yes, I'm really struggling that I can't do more than I seem to be able to. It's frustrating me, but frustration isn't going to get it done. Right, do you understand? So I have to be at peace and go, Sal, it's okay that you can only do this much. And yes, you forced yourself to do a lot more, but then you'd end up, probably sick and then definitely not able to do anything. So, you've got to make a plan B here. Do something different because what you're doing isn't working fast enough. So, ready for the next one? Take a deep breath. Here we go. Do you live in fear or peace? Choose peace. Because God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And that comes from Timothy 2. So I'm going to read that again. Do you live in fear or in peace? Choose peace, because God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. I don't know about you guys, but it's time to put that one up on my mirror. Wow, Linda, this is so good. She's saying every big decision I have starts with what would Sal do or say. And you flatter me a great deal, Linda, but it's wonderful to hear that in some way we have impacted your life. I think I better go and talk to this Sal woman, How do you go about doing online learning? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, sure. Sorry, because it takes a while for it to come through. So how do you go about doing that? All right. Have you tried just typing into Google, what is it you'd like to study? Hi, Beth. What is it you'd like to study, Nyasha? First of all, of any of my viewers, have any of you done free online learning through one of the free academies? Yeah, hi, Manager Beth. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Our Beth got promoted. The power of it all, Beth. Grandmother Beth too. Yeah, I tell you what, Nyasha, if you try Googling it, if you can't get the right answer, let us know and we'll see what we can find for you. And I'm sure that if Jody can't sleep tonight, she'll probably some research for you because she finds wonderful things to do when she can't sleep. And here's another one to put up on the mirror so you see it every morning. Today, I choose peace. So my reality would be, what do I have to let go of so I can be at peace? Right, but Nyasha, let me ask you a couple of questions so that we all look in the right places for you. Are you thinking about building computers? Are you thinking about repairing them? Are you thinking about helping people who have, who want to learn stuff on it. What part of computers? Computers is a huge science. It's not a little one. It's a huge one. So try and get that sort of down a little bit so we know what to look at for you. Yes, Beth, absolutely, 100%. Beth is saying that if you start with today, I choose peace, your next question would be, and what issues from other people do I need to let go of? I've got more than enough of my own. What do I need to let go of so that I can live today in peace? And by the way, the reason I like these in my bathroom is I visit that room quite a few times during the day, and I do like to be able to see it. And, if you are at work or something, it's probably not a bad idea to sort of, I used to actually do that. My staff used to really think I was insane. I would stick positive notes on the washroom doors so that whenever anybody went to the washroom, there would be a nice positive thought for them. Linda. She says, I don't flatter Sal. I thank Sal. I honestly was a wreck before I met you, but I'm here to pass on what I can. Mostly decisions start with what I choose. Lol. You're my parrot. You're always on my shoulder. Yeah, see me there. I am. Nag, 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 nag. Yeah. I'm the parrot. I like that. Why do I like that? But if I am delighted if it works for you, then I'm so happy. By the way, I don't know if any of you, I still have my mother in one of my ears, She still catches me when my table manners are not good. Do any of you relate to mothers that have passed on? And it's just like I don't know how she does it, but she does. She still reminds me. And I'm sort of, there's part of me going, I hope she can't see this, and I can feel it. And I go, yeah, she can. That makes me cry. Guilt is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Okay, let me try and do this one. You are free to choose, but the choices you make today will determine what you will have to be and do in the tomorrow of your life. You are free to choose. I mean, we were given that choice, right? We are free to choose. But the choices you make today will determine what you will have and be and do in the tomorrow of your life. So, Nyasha, is she still here? Or is she gone already? Oh, she's still there. That's interesting. Okay. Nyasha, you say, I want to read that out because that's great. She says she never really narrowed it down, but when she was younger, she had attended classes where I learned how to do various things on computers, designs, math, etc. I would love to do advanced studies now. Excellent. So let me ask you, is it the programs you'd like to learn how to use? I mean, were you doing stuff on Excel, or were you doing stuff on design programs? Is that what you'd like to do? You don't take a long time to write at all. You do a great job, honey. You do just really well. And I love you. So I was thinking this quote was really good in terms of your health issue, Nyasha, right? You are free to choose, but the choice you will make today will determine what you will have, be, and do in the tomorrow of your life. Do you understand? You can choose not to have the procedure that you know you need. But then, you will find you will pay the price of not having it done. But you still have the choice not to do it. And I always say that to people, Just because somebody says you have to do something, if they're a medical person, doesn't mean you have to. You don't have to take, if you get cancer, you don't have to take the stuff they tell you to, right? You can choose to just, not do it. Now, people will judge you for it, but you have that right. It's your body. Yes, Linda, that is true, right? A lot of people don't see that they have a tomorrow. Linda, do you know you have one? Do I know I have a tomorrow? Does Jody know she has a tomorrow? Does Niesha know that she has a tomorrow? We could have a monumental earthquake that could suck me into the earth tonight, and I would not have a tomorrow. But what I think is so important is, what if there is one? You know what I mean? I try not to think about, I plan my life that there's a very famous quote in this book that I read to you, and it's by a Bhagwan, whatever. And it says, I probably won't find it, but I know it off by heart. It says, be realistic, plan for a miracle. All right. And so I always remember that, when I'm feeling really bad about stuff. Yes, exactly. Jody's saying, if I had made a different choice with my cancer treatment, I wouldn't have the blessing of being here today, and we wouldn't have the blessing of knowing you. Can you imagine? I wouldn't ever have met you. I don't want to even think about that, because you have enriched my life in so many ways. You really have. All right. Now, this one is a little bit more difficult. Okay, so hang on a second, Yasha. I want to just double check what you said. I understood the first part. The first part was, yes, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word. I learned some stuff on my own. Yeah, I've learned almost everything on my own. You've learned Publisher. That's a fun program. There are even more fun ones now. I'd like to go farther, right? As I cannot physically go to classes, so you stopped. Okay, so no problem. All right, so this is the joy. You can study as much as you like today. All right, you can study. Niesha, if you keep calling me Miss Sal, so help me, I will not be here supporting you. Just Sal is good. I understand. I understand that is with great honor, and I hear that. But it's okay just to call me Sal, regardless of your age or your upbringing or whatever. I like to think that we're friends in here. Well, most of the time, because we're not perfect people, right? All right, here's the next one, everybody. When you are consciously aware of the energy you are taking on and projecting, you have the ability to shift and direct the energy. Linda is talking about this, right? When you have learned the ability to stop the negativity coming in, be it from other people or yourself, again, remember that visual that I showed you on Friday night. All right, when you can stop that negativity from coming in, you then don't project by your behavior, you don't project that negativity onto others. Anybody want to see that visual again? So I can't guarantee I'll be able to get to it, but it's just like, but the whole point about this is that, and that's what Linda learned how to do, is she stopped people getting to her special place. She kept part of her heart, if you like, part of her heart for herself. And nobody gets to come in and spoil this pit. You can bounce off the edges here, but you don't get in anymore. Wow. Linda says, I let them have 5-minute rants, and then that's it. It stops then. All right. And is that with your friends as well? I I found it really helps when people are doing that to let them rant, because it's really important that you let them do that. It's very healthy for them. But then I go, what do you want to do about it? And then they say, well, I don't know. You go, well, let me know when you do. And then I'll do what I can, to support you in that. But, I quite agree that if somebody is just doing nothing but ranting and complaining, they need a lot more than you can give them. If I always say this, if you can't control your own reaction, if you can't dig yourself out, then you need somebody else a professional to help you. All right, this one is a very good one. Yes, Linda, you're right. Everybody around you do that with, right? Because I know how they feel, but after 5 minutes, I don't want it anymore because it saps my energy. You are absolutely right. And not only does it sap your energy, you will take some of it on and project it onto others. That's known, and Jody had to learn this one. Jody was really good about taking on everybody's stuff. It was amazing. When I first met Jody, boy, she really needed to fix the world. And I'm going, why are you doing that to yourself? You can't do that. If somebody wants to, you can help people help themselves, but you're not responsible for somebody else's mood. You're not responsible for somebody else's life. That's their responsibility. If we got this, I don't know about you, but Jodie's saying she saw it as her job was to fix the world, right? Ruler of the universe stuff. But why don't we get taught more of this as we grow up? I want to tell you something that Jodie says she resigned the job. Yeah, but you have to know, I used to call myself St. Sally. And I saw myself carrying this huge bag of other people's garbage, because, for some reason I was capable of doing that. Now, you might say, question, then why would I do the broadcasts? Why do I spend so much of my time hopefully helping by doing the broadcasts? Well, I don't see that as taking on other people's baggage. I see that as, hey, did you know about this? Right? And by the way, how are the bags today? I took somebody's advice because I bothered to ask what to do. They're not perfect, but I think they're a little bit better. Thank you. I'm trying to work out how much I need to put on, and yeah, it's my giving platform. It's I love to teach. Obviously, when I say I love to teach, I don't believe I know it all by any matter of means. But I do know from my own experience that if you can sit and talk about stuff, and you have other people around you who don't overly judge you, that everybody learns. I've learned so much being here, like what to do for the bags under your eyes. Just like, really? Who would have ever thought that? Oh, yes, Nyasha, I'm not surprised, right? Jody and Linda will totally understand, right? Nyasha's saying, that's basically me. I feel sorry for everybody. And because of this, everything upsets me. And I'd like to stop. Well, you're in the right place, Nyasha. Because Jody learned how to do that. Thank you, Jody, by the way. Jody learned how to do that. Linda learned how to do that. None of us is perfect. Well, did you hear what the answer is, Linda? Believe you, mine were looking really bad. So here's the thing. Keep asking yourself, why am I worrying about somebody else's stuff? All right. Let me ask you something, Nyasha, because you're a smart cookie. I could worry myself sick about the people who maybe died and they haven't found them yet in the hurricane. Do you agree? I want to give you a practical example of this. I could be crying my heart out, how terrible, or, I'm certain there's so many they still haven't found. I could really be doing a number on that. Do you agree with me? And then think about it. Is that helpful to those people? You see, if I really want to help those people, then instead of worrying myself sick, which doesn't help anybody, I maybe donate to the Red Cross, or, if I'm capable, or I trust that the people on the ground will bring in the right dogs and the countries from around the world will send in the right rescue crews. And for those of you who are members of December and help us support Convoy of Hope, Convoy of Hope is there obviously already. That's what they do. They wait for something like this, and then they send down trucks upon trucks upon trucks of food and warm clothing and everything, or blankets, things like that, water for hurricane victims. So I look at it and go, I've done the best I can, and that's to support December, because that's where my money went. It went to help people. It went to help people feed kids around the world as well. But it also, you understand, it's part of what they do. So I need to get on an airplane and go down there and go and physically help rebuild houses. That's if I have that ability. So you understand, worrying about it doesn't do anything. Doing something. All right. So Nyasha, if you continue to worry about your decision, just for the sake of worrying, I don't know what to do. Worrying, you can do that, but you'll take yourself more sick doing that. If you make the decision, okay, this is what I'm going to do, then move on. So, but it's your decision. That's the whole point. We can't make it for you. Now, how about this for a great quote? Anybody heard of Maria Montessori? And she said, establishing lasting peace is the work of education. All politics can do is to keep us out of war. And some of you are probably thinking, or take us into one, So that's what she said. Establishing lasting peace is the work of education. For those of you who've heard of Montessori schools, right? All politics can do is keep us out of war. So it is our job, all right, to make those decisions, not to be at war with people, our friends, not to be at war with nature. There's a hurricane. Why are we having these terrible hurricanes suddenly? Is it about global warming? I sat with somebody the other day who told me point blank that there is no global warming. And that it's all made up by the people who, don't you love this? Yeah, right. Wait, I can hide it. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. I had to take a deep breath, and I sort of said, well, what about the islands that are, the sea level's coming up and the islands are flooding? No, it's just erosion. And, I just thought, wow. So, yeah, tell that to the polar bears. Exactly. That's what I was saying. And I said, when a huge iceberg, cracks off the glacier, where does that water go? Because that's what an iceberg is. It's going to, just keep melting. And where does all that extra water go? Oh, yes, Linda, isn't that, I'm glad that you've learned that one, all right? Linda's saying, Sal, you've taught me how to take a step back from my mind. I now look at things from a seat farther back. That gives me a more practical way of looking at things, which in turn gives a better response. Exactly. That's what I was taught. Get outside yourself and look at it as if you were looking at somebody else doing this, right? If you can look at it and go, now, if somebody else was doing this, what would I be telling them? How would I be helping them? All right. And Nyasha, you're so right, honey, right? Crying doesn't really help. I know, but I can feel sorry for them. But she says, I know what you're saying. Yes, I can feel sorry for them. I can be heartbroken. I can feel so sorry for all the animals that probably didn't survive it. And I can be really angry with the, no problem, Jody. I can be really angry with the owners who decided to, stay there and hunker down with animals. And then the animals ended up, dead because of it. I can get really angry about that. And I said this when we had Hurricane Florence, that, I think if you choose to stay with children and animals, you should be liable. I really do. If you have the ability to get out and you choose not to. I don't mean people who cannot get out of the way. But in this reality, I don't think that should happen either. I think if that everything should be done to get everybody who wants to go out. I think that is really, really important. That, we need better control of that. We learned this lesson in Katrina. Because, some people just don't have cars. Some people can't afford a bus. So that, to my mind, there should be absolutely ongoing, transporting of people going out. And where are you going to transport them to? It may not be fancy. Maybe it's a military base or whatever, and you live like refugees for a couple of days, but here's the good news, you're alive. And I saw, for example, I don't know if any of you saw that, you remember the California fires that were going on? They kept moving the safe places to take your animals. I was so impressed with that all the time they were saying, and this is where we're keeping livestock now. In other words, you could bring your horses, you could bring your pets, you could bring whatever you had in the way of animals to this center. And then they moved the center, as the fire got closer again. So I think that's wonderful. All right, how about this? I thought this was interesting. Absence in love is like water upon fire. A little quickens, but much extinguishes it. Hi, Jonas, how are you doing? Well, then we're delighted you're here. Is it something you can talk about, Jonas? Oh, that is so... I think that is wonderful. I tell Nicholas I'm so proud of him. I am so proud of him for doing that. He wouldn't dress himself. Okay, well, that's his mind. You think about the overstimulation. You must have had some fear about that, Linda, whether the overstimulation of ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, whether that, all that noise, all these, pyrotechnics or whatever they have these days, would affect him. Wow. But I think it's wonderful that he went. I'm sure he was very, very grateful. That really, it brings tears to my eyes to even think about it. It's beautiful. Now, Jonas, take a deep breath on this one. Because it's about relationships. But it says, if your absence doesn't affect anybody, then your presence never mattered. Wow, that is so true, right? If your absence doesn't affect them, your presence never mattered. And that's a hard one, but boy, So true. And I think of people that have come in and out of my life, and some of them I still think about, which tells me that their presence in my life was a real gift. And I must admit, there's some that have come in and out, and I rarely think of them. So, yeah, that's why I said take a deep breath before you start. Here is a good quote as well. All of us want peace. Not the peace of the dead, of course, but the peace of the living. All right. So I say that a lot to people. Be careful what you ask for. It's like, as you could say, Jody might say, I choose to be out of pain, but I'd still like to be alive. You know what I mean? Because it's possible she could be out of pain. Some people have said to me, I got a terrible headache. And I said, well, I have a way of curing that. And they said, what's that? I said, I could take off your head. It wouldn't hurt anymore. It's just that you think about it. Be careful what you ask for. And I really try to double check myself, when I say these things, like, I'd like to not have any problems anymore. No, I'd like to still be alive though, or I'd like to be warmer. Well, I don't want to fire, because if you think about it, you can ask me these things and it can be a little, you can take it a bit literally. Wow, this is a quote from Albert Einstein. And he said, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. How many of you have noticed that you've been really at disagreement with somebody, and then if you bother to take the time to talk it out, you find that, wow, that wasn't quite what I thought was going on, and now that I understand what's going on, I'm not angry anymore. Have any of you ever done that? Okay, I got two important statements here, so let me get to them one at a time. I love doing this. Okay, this is what Nyasha said. How long would my caring for others cease? How long would it take to learn that, Nyasha? Because she says she's realized now that it's bad for her health. Well, it is a work in progress, Nyasha, right? It's not something that you've got it one day, or you do this one day and next day you don't do it anymore. Literally take every day as a learning lesson and check in with yourself. Maybe when you go to the washroom and go, am I busy worrying about other people's stuff? And if so, why? Right? If you start doing that, every time you go to the washroom, you will be amazed that you can see how much of your day is spent worrying about other people's stuff. And as Linda says, she only concentrates on her own peace now. What do I need to do to make my life more peaceful? Right? What do you need to do to make your life easier for you, Nyasha? Keep asking yourself that. What is it I need to do to make time that I can start studying again? Right? What do I need to let go of? Because we all have so much room, right? And if you want to bring in learning, you're going to have to throw some stuff out. You can't keep filling up. You'll just explode. Now, Jonas is saying that Einstein abused his wife. Well, I want to tell you, in his day, if I can put it that way, a lot of people did, except they didn't know that. The other time to do it, Nyasha, is I have a little ritual that I do before I go to sleep. And I ask myself, whatever it is that I'm working on, how did I do today on a scale of 1 to 10? So you might ask yourself before you go to bed, how well did I do about letting go of other people's stuff today? And you might say not very well. And you go, well, what score will I give myself? 2 out of 10. Okay. 2 out of 10 is, at least it's not 0. Keep working on the positive. And then one day you're going to give yourself a 5 and you're going to go, wow, that was pretty good control. Does that make sense? Make it a positive thing. Yes, there are some days, and I agree with Linda, there are some days where you actually have to, Linda, I don't know if this is what you meant by that, but I think so. There are some days when I have to stop trying to help anybody. There, as some of you know, I used to do broadcasts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I used to do a whole lot of blogs in between. I gave up doing that. And what I did was I said I need Saturdays to be totally for me. I get very tired on Fridays because I do 2 broadcasts and it takes a lot of mental energy. And so therefore I'm going to take Saturdays for myself. Yes, now here's the thing. Jonas is saying that Einstein wrote out a list of strict rules for her. I was reading the list the other day, quite disgusting, to be honest. Yes. Exactly, Linda. All right. Linda's really got this down to a fine art. She says she's now learned that she has to help herself and her family first. After that, she helps other people. Wow, Nyasha, that's hard to admit that truth. Nyasha's saying, and another reason being that nobody cares about me and I'm caring it for them. It's ridiculous. Yes, but at some level, Nyasha, at some level, and only you can answer this, but I found that I think I thought that if I was really nice to them, they'd like me. And they'd treat me differently. Right? And it wasn't true. They just use me. So I care about people that I care about. Nyasha, would you like to know what my new rule to myself is? Jonas, if the only time people call you is when they're feeling depressed, that means they're using you, right? You can see that. So the trick is to say, hey, I'm sorry to hear that. What are you doing about it? What? What are you doing? You sound depressed. What are you doing about it? Have you been to the doctor? Because I actually am not qualified to deal with depression. Get rid of the conversation. Well, Jonas, you are. I mean, you know what I mean? I think, you have to look at that and go, maybe at some level you are. And therefore, you might want to think about finding some new friends in your life. Now, I wanted to, Jonas, just so you know, I've got some really good friends that I hardly ever talk to. I'm not joking. It's the weirdest thing. But whenever that brown sticky stuff hits the fan, they are there on the phone or at my door almost immediately. All right? And so what do I know? They're really good friends to me when I need them. You know what I mean? Not the opposite way around. Linda is asking Jonas, are others making you feel disposable? Well, I'd like to say, Linda, that nobody makes us feel anything. We feel disposable when people treat us like this. And I think that's probably what you were about to say to Jonas, right? It's not their behavior. It is the fact that we actually get to see that they only ever call us when they need something. And that hurts, Jonas, but it's the truth. But once you know that, right? once you know that, it's just like, now you can choose whether you carry on giving them a lot of time or maybe a little bit less. Well, I want to tell you something, Jonas, that I had a really good friend who did that to me, all right, who pushed and pushed and pushed. And she knew that we were really good friends. And she said that, Sal will always be there. And one day I stood up and said, that's it, enough. What? That's enough. You have used and abused me one time too many. And I just want to tell you that's enough now. And she was horrified. Yes, and Jonas, if you can, see what Linda's saying here, right? It's because we let them. So give them a little less time. Or the other thing is, you might want to tell them the truth, Jonas. I found this works really well with some people, where I say, it may just be my perception, but it seems to me the only time you ever contact me is when you're depressed. How come you never call me when you're happy? And so sometimes it's worth telling them the truth. You made a promise to them, all right? Now that's why I don't make promises to people anymore. All right, I will say I will do my best. I'll give you that commitment. I won't promise because life can get in the way. Well, Jonas, wow. You relate to this one. Jonas says, I get attached. If I stopped messaging them first, they would never talk to me again. I want to tell you something. Those of you who know my dear adopted son, Dougie, he adopted me. He did an experiment one day, Jonas. And he just stopped. He said that for a month, he wasn't going to contact anybody and see what happened. All right. And so he said he wasn't going to email. He wasn't going to check how people were. He wanted to know who actually cared, Jonas. And I'm delighted to tell you, apparently I only lasted a week. And we don't talk to each other more than once a week. But it was so funny because he said the first person to contact him was me. And I went, hi, honey, how are you doing? You've been a bit quiet. And yeah, so you understand. And he said, to his absolute amazement, only about 3 or 4 of his friends, and he thought he had a whole stack, only about 3 or 4 of his friends bothered to find out why he was so quiet. And he then moved those people into, these are my real friends, and these are now my pretend friends. I'm not giving them as much time. Yes, Linda's saying, she doesn't do the upfront thing with people. She just contacts them less and less. Well, you know something. All right, you listen to this one, is right. Jonas is saying, I keep trying to do that, but I'm afraid they'll move on. I'm afraid my so-called best friend will find someone else for her. Yes, she may, in which case she wasn't your best friend. All right, you just thought she was. And so to me, this is like, Jonas, I think you deserve some real friends, right? And here's the rule that I have, Jonas, and you don't have to do this, but think about it and then use it if it helps you. What I do is I say, if I have to spend more than 50% of the effort to keep this friendship going, I start to ask myself why. Do you know what I mean? So I will check, is it always a case of I have to wait, I have to be the one that texts them and then they text back? And if that's, I'll stop texting for a week and see if they bother. All right. If they don't, okay, fine. And then, maybe a couple of weeks I'll text and say, how are you doing? But I don't now panic and go, why aren't you contacting? Excuse me, why aren't you contacting me? Well, this is the whole thing, Jonas. You're saying, she says, I mean everything to her. She says I'm her best friend. She's the only person that makes me happy. That's because that's the only person you've found so far that makes you happy, right? But I wish there was more give and take. Yes, that's it. And maybe you got to look at that and say, maybe have a chat with her and say, I get a feeling that I'm doing a lot of the work here. Do you not think to call me sometimes when it seems to me I'm always the one that has to make the contact? And she's introverted, so I don't know if she's worried about bothering me. Ask her. Seek first to understand, Jonas. Yeah, Linda, I agree with you. I've had to revise my friend list quite a bit. Yes, I walked away from a 20-year friendship, Linda. So I understand that after the lucky incident that you walked away from an 18-year. Yeah, I'm certain you had no idea, that your friends were doing that to animals. So to me, it's like it's really important that you understand this. All right, so here's the next quote. Take a deep breath, everybody. All that is behind you was preparation for all that is ahead of you. All right. So all that is behind you, the life you have lived up until today, is preparation for the life you're about to live. Jody, are you back here? Linda, can you see that? That you had to get to this point in your life to realize what was going on, but now you can use all that information to move on. And by the way, a week from now, we will be different again. I could read this again. It better be. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking about that, Jody. All the life that you lived brought you to this point. And, I keep smiling because I think for all that you struggle and all that you go through in a day, I keep thinking, but you got Lionel. And, yes, you realize that is such a huge thing. And what if something happens to Lionel? I understand that you must worry about that a great deal. But the truth is, Jody, this is the time to start, thinking about that and saying, okay, Lionel, let's work this out. If you weren't here, who are we going to have do this? How do we do this? And if the answer is, I don't know, start finding new friends. Maybe you need to move in with somebody else. Maybe, you understand there are ways of doing this. Like, you remember what Aaron did? Well, Nyasha, I think it's time for you to get out and make some friends, quite honestly. All right. I think you will find that that it's time to get some friends that care about you as a human being. Ah. Jody's saying, I find so many blessings in my daily life. I have Lionel, I have Sal, and I have the peeps. So how many of you have made friends just listening to the broadcast? Exactly. Jonas will be your friend. And hopefully you feel like you've got some friends here, Nyasha. This is a great quote for those of you who, right, listen to this one. Are you ready? This is great. So far, you have survived 100% of your worst days. All right. So what makes you think that you can't cope with the next one? Yeah, good stuff, people. And this one says, love is the key that opens the heart. Hope is the dream that awakens the soul. Peace is the light that guides the way. And faith is the certainty that sees us through. Love is the key that opens the heart. Hope is the dream that awakens the soul. Peace is the light that guides the way. And faith is the certainty that sees us through. Wow. Linda, you are just so kind. I think you need to give yourself a bit of credit on this one. But Linda's saying, thanks to you and your peeps. I get up, I do my hair, I put on my makeup. Things I wouldn't have done. Life is a journey and I'm in it and enjoying it. Thank you. Yeah, so this week, let us look for the love, knowing that it will open up our hearts. I want to tell you that when I bought this house nearly 20 years ago and inherited Yvonne, I, over the years, taught Yvonne quite a lot. And, you know, the incredible thing is it's come full circle because I'm now at a place where I need a lot more help than I did. And guess what? Yvonne is feeding me back all the things I fed to her 20 years ago. Don't you think that's amazing? Right? It's like, you know, she's my parrot. And when I start to get too stressed, I can hear her saying, Sal, don't do that to yourself. And just cope with today. What do you need to cope with today? Don't worry about what's. Well, yes, true, Linda. You get back what you give out, right? Right. Niesh is saying, how can I tell when someone's taking advantage of me? I've never learned that skill. Wow, should we do a broadcast on that? What does it look like? Would you like us to do that? Yeah, sure. But you know, can you just take a note of that for me, Jody, if you wouldn't mind? But here's the thing, if I can say this, that I can tell you what it looks like, but you probably won't change the behavior. Great quote, Jonas. Yes, the secret to happiness, you see, is not gaining more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. And Linda is saying it's not a skill, it's how it feels, the gut feeling usually works. So I'm thinking, Nyasha, that I don't know whether Linda would be prepared to be a support person for you. But, you know, Linda's been through this. And, you know, as have a lot of people. But, you know, to my mind, a lot of the questions you're asking are the questions that Linda asked. And, you know, over the, I don't know how long Linda's been with us, probably 4 years. But it's just a case of, you know, you just keep coming to the broadcast, keep listening to other people's stories, and you'll go, wow, I do that. Why do I do that? All right. And it's like, I have a warning system. I don't know about anybody else. A red flag goes up in my head. If I start resenting something, I know that I've been taken advantage of. You know, if I start going, why am I making this call? They haven't phoned me in a month. Then, you know, really, why am I making this call? And that's what I ask myself. Why am I doing it? Just put the phone down. If they care, they'll call you. But we don't want to own the fact that they don't care, Jonas, right? That for some of us, that is way worse, to think that they don't care. Whereas the truth is, you are better having 2 or 3 people that really care about you than 100 that don't. That's the reality. So I have different category of friends. I have pretend friends and I have the solid ones. Yes, exactly, Linda. Maybe if you have the answer, but you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to admit that that's possible. Nyasha, you don't want to, necessarily admit that people use you, but I think people do use us. Well, listen to yourself, right? You're saying you were born slow, and I guess nice, but people would realize that and take advantage. But you're a smart cookie, Nyasha. That doesn't mean it has to continue, right? What you've done up until now, remember what it said? Everything you've done up until now is preparing you for today. And today you can say, I don't want that anymore. I don't care whether you're slow or quick. This is like, I don't want to do this anymore. And Nyasha, I want to tell you something. Being slow can be the greatest gift to happiness. Do you know that? And I say that because I cannot believe that you are slow and that you manage to keep up with the broadcast. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense to me. I talk at an incredibly fast rate. I'm talking stuff that is really quite difficult. And I'm talking I've got Nyasha, one of my viewers has autism and, swore a great deal. And I said that I didn't want him swearing on the broadcasts. And he said, but I do it without thinking. And I said, well, then you need to make a decision. Do you want to carry on? Well, I can't help it. I go, actually, you can help it and you can make the choice. And the most amazing thing, as most people will tell you, he used to carry on coming to the broadcast and he chose not to swear. So I think that sometimes you put yourself in a box called slow when, as Linda says, you probably don't belong there. All right? So maybe it's the time to learn some new things and make some new friends. But I would say first, get your health sorted out, honey, if you can. All right, and then start doing things you look forward to. The other thing is, and if you write to me, because I will forget, actually, maybe Linda will, not Linda, Jody will send me a reminder. Did you know, Nyasha, that there are libraries now online that are totally free? You can get almost any book that you want, studying whatever you want or read whatever you want, absolutely for free. You can just download them. You don't have to pay for them. So maybe spend less time with the pretend friends and more time working on your health. All right. All right, guys, I need to go. And here is a quote from Buddha. Each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters the most. Let's forget about what you did right up to now. Take a deep breath and decide what you want to do in the next 24 hours. If you are lucky enough to survive it. All right? And do I want to be at peace or do I want to be stressed? Do I want to do something in the right direction of my overall good or do I want to work against myself? Do I want to worry myself sick about people who don't? soul work has been enjoyable for you. And, Nyasha, I need you to understand, you are not alone. I just thank you so much for being here. Linda will tell you that when she first came, she probably felt a lot of the same things that you're feeling right now. And she just, stayed and did the work, and now she helps other people. And all I would say is, please keep coming back and just listening. You will make the changes when you're ready. There is no test here. You don't have to prove anything to us, all right? Just learn along the way. You'll find that you'll listen to other people and you go, gosh, I do that. Why do I do that? And you'll start making changes. Linda, I don't think we ever set you up that you have to do this by next week or else. You see, and Jonas needs a friend too, all right? And you see, you have to, at some level, really want to change. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. That's what I believe. I've always said, and I say it to Jody quite often, I don't have to go looking for people to help because they find me. I don't know why. I just have to trust that God will send me the people that I may be able to help. Yeah, Linda's so right. If I told Linda what she had to do, she would have stuck her heels in, probably given me the finger too. All right, nobody has all the answers. We are all in this together, Jonas. You're so right. We help each other. I am in a really difficult situation this week. And you know something? I am listening to all of this so I can help myself gain some peace. And it's okay. We have good weeks, we have difficult ones. But the good news is we're all here to help each other. I'm going out, for those who want to know, I am doing pork tenderloin today in a teriyaki type sauce. Very tasty. And I'm looking forward to it because I'm hungry. All right, everybody, a big hug. Thank you so much for not only helping yourself, but helping everybody else as well. Nyasha, a huge round of applause. And Jonas, talking about this stuff isn't easy. But when we talk about it, you guys want me to invite you to dinner. When we talk about it, we feel, that's when you start to grow, when you're not embarrassed about it anymore. So big hugs. Love you dearly. Look after one another, but please, please, please start by looking after yourself. Nyasha, listen to me. I say it at the end of every broadcast. Be kind to one another, but most of all, look after yourself first, all right? And if you just keep hearing me say that to you, then you will take the right steps. Not every day. And by the way, if you let them control you, I want you to laugh and go, tomorrow I'll do this again. I'm going to look after myself tomorrow. All right? So everybody, have a great week. Be at peace as much as you can. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye for now.